endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive, I thrive.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Nomads 50 Plus, where we talk to current digital nomads over 50 who are trying to help aspiring digital nomads over 50 join the life. And my name's Chris Kalaboukis. I'm coming at you from a actually sunny today, Silicon Valley, California. And I am the CEO of Games.
Very good. Now, wait, I thought you were going to be the CTO.
Sorry, you're right. I am the CTO of Games.
That sounds like a little more technical.
Makes no sense though. Until you should go first. You should say you should say your thing, and then I'll say my thing, because games of fun that's the wrong way.
Yeah,
you got to say it the right way.
I think so. Yeah, that kind of hit me wrong.
Yeah. So you go ahead.
Okay, so this is the CEO of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Chris is the CTO of games.
That's right.
Now this is an important distinction here.
Very, very important. Very important. And it's kind of like you never say fork and knife, do you? Like fork and knife? Give me a fork and knife, will you?
Yes.
Damn fork and knife. So it's always knife and fork.
Yeah. Right. And so for our listeners, I am also, well, not really. I'm in Half Moon Bay, California.
That's still the Bay Area.
Yeah. Okay. But it's on the coast, and I finally am easing up on the culture shock of getting back from 3 months in Italy, and you can do it too. And I have an announcement about solo travelers that you can get free advice all over the San Mateo County libraries in June and July. If you want to get started. So nice. I think I said I was traveling for 19 years full-time. Well, I'm continuing to do that, and I do that by myself, and you also can do that.
So a lot of people want to do solo traveling, but they're worried, they're concerned, they're scared, they're freaked out about it. I mean, I know a lot of people, especially my wife's friends, are like, "Oh, I'd love to do this and I'd love to do that, but I can't do it because I don't have anybody to go with." Like, what's stopping them?
Okay, let's head on face that one, because you know what?
Boom.
This is what I hear from so many. My husband doesn't want to travel. My friend. Figure that people are not going to be on your schedule, in your timeline, in your fear of flying, in your menu selections that you can't eat this, that, and the other.
The plays, the London West End plays you want to go see, things like that. I mean,
not everybody wants to go to museums.
Yep.
Not everybody wants to go to beaches. So you have to figure that you're not going to find somebody. Now, if you're married...
So it's more likely that you won't.
It's more likely that you won't, because so many people tell me, oh, my husband doesn't want to travel. I actually did a video on this because I was hearing it so often. Mm-hmm. I'm solo. I was married for 20 years. I didn't start traveling until after I got divorced. Mm-hmm. Lots more easy by myself in a way. We had a lot of fun. We went on many international trips, mostly luxury. But the thing is, people are afraid to do it alone. And then the other thing is, you think it's going to cost more. But guess what? Every time I travel with people, it costs more to travel with people. And so I want to make
why is that?
Okay, curious, so here's why.
There's more people, so it costs double, obviously, whatever you're doing. Unless it's a hotel room, you can share a hotel room. But what else is it that...
It's things like, okay, one of my first trips with girlfriends was right after I got divorced. Okay, so we went to Hawaii. Well, guess what? The woman that was renting the place... and inviting us to come. She wanted to go to luxury 5-star restaurants every night.
Course.
And, I understand that, but that's not, I was thinking we were going to cook in the kitchen because that was my budget at the time. And it was a beautiful apartment, ocean view. Like, why leave? So anyway,
nice.
That's when I decided, I thought, okay, this solo travel thing really does work, because you can make all your decisions yourself. And actually, it's more economical for me to travel by myself because you don't have to take into account other people's preferences to do, high cost tours. Like, for example, the first time I went back to Europe in 2018, I hadn't been in like 10 years. Now I'm going every year. I did a couple pretty fancy tours, and they were 200 a piece. Now, I loved it, had a great time. But see, that's kind of more what people want to do, and they want to have their hand held and attach themselves to you 100%. Like, I'm not married to you, so I mean, if you're married and you love spending time together, great. But if you're friends, I think you need some alone time to do the kind of things that you want to do.
Oh yeah,
just your own self-care.
absolutely. But
So-
I've heard stories of people who they go together, and then one of them, like if somebody doesn't want to do something, the other one like does a hissy fit. And these are women in their 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. What the heck is going on here?
Oh, yeah, and I've witnessed hissy fits myself personally.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty.
Especially if they're in their 60s and 70s, right?
And we're talking about and so it's like, okay, fine. If you get, yes, of course, as you age, you want to do the things you want to do. We have less time.
Yeah. And that fits right in with the solo thing, right? It's kind of like if you're going to have trouble, it's like you want to travel with somebody because you want the companionship, but at the same time, they're not going to want to do the same things you are. So how do you balance those two things? You can't really. It's either one or the other.
It's one or the other. Like, for example, this was just a daytime excursion with a friend several years ago. I thought we were going on a casual stroll. It turned out to be a 5-mile hike. Up and down hills. I mean, it was pretty and stuff, but I wasn't prepared for that.
Right.
And there was an outburst.
Wait a minute. Who did the hissy fit? Was that you?
Not me. I was just voicing like, oh, I didn't realize we were going on a 5-mile. So I use it as an example.
Communications are important.
And, it ended okay and we're still friends, but not mentioning any names, but it made me see that it's like if it were me, I'd just be like, I'm gonna go have a coffee in a cafe right now.
You're gonna go and you're not gonna go. So how do people get over that? Because there's so many people who do this thing and they're really hesitant to go on their own. How do they get over it?
Okay, how to get over it is one of the things that helped me was The Artist's Way, the book. Everybody should read that. I know you said that you were reading it.
Oh, it's a great book. I'm actually reading it right now.
Yeah.
And I have a library copy that needs to go back. So I am going to buy a copy because that's such a good book. It's such a great book.
I bought
Anybody
a copy
who creates
too.
anything it's an amazing book.
But it also applies to travel. And when I first read it, when it first came out, and this was like 30 years ago, and I've read it like 3-4 times, because you always will get something new out of it. It applies to both creativity and travel because you have to just go ahead and do stuff that you want to do and not wait for anybody else. Like if you wanted to start painting, are you going to wait for other people to paint with you?
Right.
Like, don't. Your whole life's going to go
That seems idiotic.
You know what I mean? And so, but she broaches that subject of don't think about what everybody else, like she helped me to start writing. And I've been writing now for over 25 years. And it was like, do the morning pages, like don't let anything stop you, just do it. And I started with 3 pages and ended up writing 6 books. I mean, you have to start. And so I think a step that you could take to get over it would be do a all day, go somewhere by yourself.
Yeah. The artist date. Is that what she called it?
Yes, go on an artist date. And so I started doing that, and then it just turned into artist 3 weeks away.
Artist date to artist day to artist weekend to artist vacation to eventual solo travel. It's a stepping stone.
It's a stepping stone to take. So you take that step, and then the next step is, oh, I could go to a writers' conference in Hawaii myself
Mm,
and write. And that's what started the whole publishing commercial writing thing for me by going to that conference because I both got a book contract by going and had amazing experience meeting all these other writers. So whatever it is for you that you feel a little bit afraid to do, why not take a step towards it? And that was like, I was so safe, it was a fancy hotel and I'd saved up money to do this fancy trip, but it doesn't have to be fancy. You can start taking steps towards this and remember that travel in the United States is much more expensive than Europe, any other continent. I've been on all of them except for Africa, and they're all less expensive than the United States.
yeah.
So you can't predict that you'll be spending the kind of money that you would spend in the United States. You can
Yeah.
spend a lot less.
But I think you have to start becoming comfortable with yourself
Yeah.
being on your own, because I think that's a big issue with a lot of people is that even going out for dinner with them on their own or going for lunch by themselves or just grabbing a coffee on their own feels weird, right?
Okay, so what I would say about that is, and this is something I started doing a long time ago, decades ago, is if you feel uncomfortable going to a bar or a restaurant by yourself, bring a book, bring a notebook, do some writing. Now it's gotten so I'll start engaging people at the next table. I mean, if I feel like talking, I'll talk.
Yeah,
Or if I feel like having a quiet meal by myself, I just do that. I mean, it just depends on my feeling, but you have to start doing it to see how you feel about it. But it's not as weird as you think. Like being alone, you end up meeting more people. That's something that people don't seem to talk about. It just is amazing. You're more of a magnet for people to talk to because they're not invading like a couple or a group.
exactly right.
And so
And it,
people feel more likely to approach you.
exactly. And over the travels that we've had over the last few years, where we've been to Italy and Greece and France, Paris, everywhere you go, there's lots of other people who are doing the exact same thing. So it's not that scary because so many people are doing it. It's kind of like I was telling you about the bungee jumping thing before, right? It's like
Yeah.
you see all these people out there traveling solo, and you're just like, well, if they can do it, I should be able to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And when you meet these solo travelers in other countries, it emboldens you to go, oh, well, this isn't so. I mean, when I started in 2000 nothing, I didn't know anybody doing what I was doing, but
Yeah.
gradually,
You're a vanguard. You were like ahead of the curve.
and I still wanted to do it. It didn't matter who else. I just was like, I need to do this. I want to do this. I've been wanting to do this my whole life. I'm going to do
Right.
it.
Hmm.
And so you have to take a step toward what it is that you want without breaking off, oh, I'm going to go to India by myself. I mean, I've been to India many times by myself. And here's what I'll mention now is many countries have kind of attract more solo travelers than other countries.
Oh, really? How do they do that?
Well, I don't know how they do it, but here's what I'm noticing. When I went to India, I don't even know how many times I've been there, but I went once with my son, and then all the other times I went by myself, and I met amazing people in India. Like, I think India draws people to it because
Mm,
it's the mothership of the world.
mm,
All kinds of religions, all kinds of cultures. And I started to notice that there were a lot of solo travelers. And then I went to Bali, a lot of solo travelers. And then Europe, of course. So, there's so many countries that attract people that feel like, oh, I'm going and there's not going to be anything that'll stop me. Now, Europe, I would say, is the easiest continent to go by yourself.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely, hands down.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I could say that probably about 50% of the people we saw in the cafes in Rome were on their own. Probably
Okay.
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even remember we were sitting beside a woman who was sitting there having a drink on her own, and she even
Yeah.
had Eat, Pray, Love sitting there in a notebook. And
She
the whole thing.
did.
Yeah. I thought, wow. This is like she's like living the stereotype.
It's right in front of me. So funny.
But if it works for her, why not, right? What's nothing wrong with that?
Well, another thing you could do is go to a bar by yourself and sit at the bar and just see what happens. Because what I noticed when I always used to go with my friends was I would never talk to anybody outside of my friend group.
Yeah.
But if you
And
go by
people feel like they don't want to butt in. It's kind of like you mentioned earlier. It's like they see a group, and unless they're really pushy, they don't want to push into the group. But if you're there on your own, you get people talking to you. But what do you do about like unwanted attention?
okay. Okay, so that's a good one because I've been in many countries where I got way more attention than I wanted. So at first,
Because that might be another thing that they're worried about.
yeah. Okay. So the trip that made me a real traveler was in South America, solo, overland on buses only, and except for the flight there and back. And I kind of went there with this feeling of being a diplomat and an ambassador of the USA. No. Once you figure out that not everybody has good intentions for you, you start to be. Well, this is what I do. I have a bubble around me in those kind of situations. Actually, I don't do it in Europe, but it's like this impenetrable bubble that is you.
Is it like 6 foot radius?
No,
COVID size
it's smaller.
bubble? Okay.
It's kind of like 3 feet, but it's this part is very important. You will not approach me unless I invite you in here.
Right.
And I'm very clear about that because I was getting so much unwanted attention that it actually worked.
Well, how do you do that? Is it just your attitude, or what do you?
Yeah,
how do you manage this bubble?
It's your attitude, and it's your. Even if you don't feel confident, just pretend to be confident. Get your Academy Award performance in there and pretend you're totally confident.
Right.
And you're not interested in engaging with people that have no interest for yourself. Like you have to think about, do I want to talk to that person? How am I feeling about the energy of that person that just approached me? A lot of times it wasn't good.
Right.
So I would want to get the heck out of there. And you don't have to be polite. You have to get over being polite too.
Yeah, just leave. Just leave.
Yeah.
You can leave.
You can either walk away, say bye, or not even. Just get out of there.
Right.
And not be there anymore. So, okay, so this is what happens. It doesn't happen in Europe at all, but it does happen in Asia, South America, and Mexico. Oh, where are you from? How are you doing today? Like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't know you. Just ask yourself, do you want to talk to this person? If you don't, just keep walking. They're not going to talk to the residents like that.
Right. So, but you're the one who has to initiate the conversation in that case. Like if you see somebody interesting that you want to talk to, you talk to them. But I guess you really use a lot of intuition. Like when somebody comes up and talks to you, if you're getting bad vibes, that's when you go, okay, I'm going to walk away from here. Yeah. But you don't necessarily get bad vibes, right? You get, oh, this is an interesting conversation that we're having.
And that happens quite often when you're listening to your intuition. Like I start conversations a lot with people, like it's either directions or just shooting, just making contact with another human being because we're waiting for the train together. And
yeah, that's the best time to do it. Right? Yeah. You have a common thing that you're doing there. Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll discover, okay, so this is a myth I want to break right now. So many nice people in France allowed me to murder their beautiful, sexy language and then would say, let's speak English. I'd be like, God love you. Thank you. And then they would know.
Your French can't be that bad.
It's pretty bad. I mean, I don't know. I know
Bonjour,
more Italian. Oh yeah, I know all that stuff, but they're hearing me say it with a bad accent and they're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then they say stuff like, oh, I really needed to practice my English more.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they
the worst
speak
thing that happened to me is
perfect
that
English.
so I practiced some Japanese before we went to
Oh,
Japan.
wow. Good.
I really practiced. I was reading books, I was practicing, I was talking, and then when we went, I tried it and I got zero reaction. Zero. Zero
How
reaction.
do you mean zero reaction? Do you mean
It's
they
like it's almost like they didn't hear me speaking at all.
speak?
It's kind of like my mouth was going like this,
Yeah,
but nothing was coming out.
you know why?
I
Because
either
to
butchered it so badly they couldn't understand it,
yeah,
or
yeah, or what? What's the
I don't
second
know. Maybe
option?
maybe maybe they're deaf. Maybe I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no. Okay, here's what it is. Have you noticed? Okay, this is what I've noticed. This is what I've noticed traveling all over Asia and living in Asia for 18 months.
Hmm.
There are people that think they can speak English very well.
Hmm.
So when you run into them and they're trying to speak English to you
Yeah,
and you can't understand
at
70% of
all.
what they're saying and they're speaking fast.
That's
And if you point it out to them gently to speak slower, and I've had people not react well to that because they're sort of arrogant about this has happened to me several times and it's like, "Oh, okay. Now I understand how I'm speaking poorly
hmm.
in Europe, and these nice French people are enduring it and then saying let's speak English." And so it's difficult because you have to listen at a higher octave.
Mm.
Listening is much harder than speaking.
Yeah. So that's probably what happened.
That's what
Speaking at a
happened.
completely different.
Yeah. And
It's
so
different frequency. It's like
they can't listen at
they
that
can't.
level.
They didn't hear it.
They didn't hear it, actually. And they might have
Wow.
known English.
Well, they probably did. I know everyone's taught English, but again, the accent's very difficult. But I mean, I even I tried, and I thought at least I'd get some reaction, like they'd look at me or something. But it was like, it's
Oh,
like
they
I
didn't
said
even
nothing.
look at you. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I haven't been to Japan,
Okay.
but I have noticed that every country is different about that.
Oh yeah.
Some countries, you'll find that people just pretend they know what you said and they
Hmm.
don't.
Hmm.
Or it's always going to be awkward unless you tend to go. See, this is why right here I like to go back to places that are really countries that really gel with me in
Right.
regards to the language, the culture, the food, the
Yeah.
lifestyle,
Yeah.
everything.
But you get that after you've been to a lot of different places and you know where to go back to, and you can sense that.
Right. So that isn't something that happens until you've been traveling a lot. But, however, it is okay. So let's just face it. It is going to be harder in the beginning. But here's another thing I want to say.
Hmm.
Like, say I'm in Thailand and I go to this temple town where my son actually became a monk
Oh
with
wow.
Thai monks.
Nice.
And so I never would have gone there if he didn't. So then I made connections there. Tourists don't go there.
Mm.
It's in rural Thailand, way up in the north, almost to Laos. A
Wow.
different food, everything. And so I ended up living in a temple there for 2 months because I
Wow.
liked it. Yeah, and people
Fantastic.
didn't speak English there. And so
Did you
the
pick
point,
up any of the local
oh,
language?
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
knew about 30, 40 words of Thai.
And they could hear you?
Okay, for example, the word ma means mother, dog, and something else. And so
Good.
if
It's
I said,
context.
yeah, I'd say ma, and they'd be like, oh, they think it was hilarious that I was referring to a dog. I'm like, no, I said ma like this. And they're like, no, you say it like this, ma. And I'm like,
Sounds exactly the same to
it
our
sounds,
ears,
yeah, it
right?
sounds, see, and so I learned from that there's always going to be miscommunication.
Oh yeah. Always.
Now, the head abbot was learning how to speak English super fast, but he's
Hmm.
an enlightened being, so that was different. I mean, he would say the funniest things. Like, he was cracking jokes. Like, he was intelligent enough to get the intuition part, the listening part, the talking part. Like he just was like lightning speed, but I would not expect that from everyone. However, I had I have a friend there who teaches English. She's Thai. But here's what I noticed. She would interpret what another person there was saying to me because I didn't understand what they were saying when they were speaking in Thai. But I actually found it a little bit hindering because it's better to struggle with someone to understand each other than have it interpreted.
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I thought that was interesting because then it was like she had the onus of being the interpreter when that's no fun.
No.
And I want to know what that guy said to me. And we actually did figure it out. We ended up spending some time together. He's a farmer there, and we had a blast one day going on his motorbike and going
Nice.
all over and stuff. And we did it. So I feel like, okay, you can, even if you don't know the language, if somebody is willing to work with you on listening and hearing what you're saying and miming and everything, you can do it.
Yeah. And I think you definitely get that more when you're on your own too, right? Because when you're with someone, you're always spending time talking to that person in your native language.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't get exposed. I feel the same way when I go to Greece. It's like when I go to Greece, I'm speaking with my wife all the time when we were together. So I can't work on my Greek. I have to
Right.
force myself to go out there and talk and speak Greek to everybody else so that I can, because it usually takes me 2 or 3 days to get back in the swing of things. But if I stay with my English friends, it was one time we went to Greece and all my cousins from Canada were there, and like there was 25 of us or some crazy number, and everybody was speaking English. And I thought, okay, I need to get away from you people.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the thing is, in my 3 months of being by myself in Italy, I had to talk to the cashier, talk to the gelato person, talk to the produce person, talk to people in the street
In Italian.
In Italian.
Nice.
And try it.
They heard you. They didn't look at you funny and they go,
They're more
is this person speaking?
They're more generous with their time and attention there, I have to say. That's one of the reasons I like it, because they're just more friendly about you screwing it up.
Right. So if you're a solo traveler and you've done your artist dates,
Yeah.
you've done your artist weekends, and then you're ready to do your artists. Is that what it is? It's artist 3 weeks.
Artist vacation.
Artist vacation. On your own.
You're
as
ready.
A solo traveler.
You're ready.
It's best to go to Europe. This sounds like that's what you're saying.
I
think you mentioned that before too.
I really do, because I think that my first. No, I think I went to. Okay, so my first big one was Hawaii, but
is Hawaii really that different? I mean, it is different, but everyone speaks English, right?
Not really. Yeah. Well,
but
that's debatable.
It's still enough. Is it different enough? Would you say going to Hawaii on your own?
It's
to
very
say that
different.
Would be a good step. First step.
Yeah, because it is different enough from mainland United States, and I lived there for 3 years too, and visited 5 times before I moved there. And honestly, it feels more like Asia, but with the benefits of the United States,
right?
With hospitals and.
So that would be good for people on the West, because I know us Californians go to Hawaii all the time.
Yeah.
But people, if you lived, say, in the middle of the country or the East, would the Caribbean be a good choice?
Caribbean is also, that's a little more, and I've been to the Caribbean and lived down in Belize on an island for 6 months.
Yeah, I think the Bahamas actually still uses American currency too. So I think the Bahamas are
these are all good
more
steps.
American-ish.
Yeah. Yes, these are all good steps to take if you're not ready to do Europe. However, I would say the cool thing about Europe, which is not true of the Caribbean for sure, and maybe a little bit true in Hawaii. The thing about Europe is that the public transportation, you don't have to have a car.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the culture, which is very rich in terms of the food and the wine and the different language. Like, these are all things that are going to keep you young by practicing and experiencing cultures that, they're just, that's where we came from,
Yeah.
most of us. So,
Yeah.
there's a affinity for that.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying like as a stepping stone. So if you
Oh
feel
yeah,
like you
yeah.
can do, if you can do your date, you can do your weekend, you can do your vacation, and your vacation could be Europe, or if you don't think you can go as far as Europe, Hawaii or the Caribbean is a good
Yes.
interim choice.
I would
But
say
then the one
yes.
after that should probably be somewhere in Europe.
Yeah, I highly recommend it because you get a different sense of, um, well, I guess it comes to what you personally like. Like for me, it's funny. I did this after all the crazy stuff I did all through South America.
We did it backwards.
I did it backwards. So I did all of these challenging, crazy, I mean, maybe not maybe insane. Some things I wouldn't do again. But however, I'm very glad I did all that stuff because I appreciate the ease of being in Europe and how the food is so good
Hmm.
and the wine. Like, okay, for example, when you go to Thailand, because the taxes are so high on wine, you're never going to get a
No,
decent
but
bottle of wine that,
you wouldn't drink wine in Thailand, right? You'd have
well,
some local drink, right?
ugh.
Okay,
That's
maybe not.
that's like you might want to give up drinking, which I think I did. And I don't really drink beer
But
so
I
much.
always want
That's
to
like
try, one of
water
the things I want
cost.
to do whenever I go anywhere is I want to try everything local. So
Yeah,
the local this, the local that. I know there's a lot of people who are not like that.
I have tried.
They're the ones who will seek out the cheesecake factory in Hawaii. It's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
cheesecake factory or,
No.
pulau pork or whatever, right? It's like,
Grilled
no,
spam.
no, yeah, exactly.
Do it.
Or you're in Italy. We were talking about this before. It's like Italy in Italy. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
why would I go to Italy in Italy when
And,
there's this, so many places.
and pay twice as much at Italy.
Exactly. So why you'd want to eat the fake stuff? It's like I
It's
want to
for
eat the local food and
yeah.
experience that. But some people don't. They want the sort of like American style versions of whatever they're doing. So that's
Well,
something that I think that you're really missing out on if you don't go for the local food.
I think so too, because I found that, as I was missing cheese more and more and wine in Thailand, because I lived there, I was going to make it my home base. I lived
Hmm.
there for at least up to a year on
Wow.
and off. I found that you were spending the same amount of money to go to the fancy expat grocery stores to get those items.
Right.
And actually, you could feed yourself at the vendors on the street lunch and dinner for
So you
like,
could just have street food all the whole time you're there and not even need to cook because it's so
right.
inexpensive.
That's right. It's so inexpensive and it's delicious and they're a very clean culture. Like, they're not taking chances on getting you sick and
But you
stuff.
eventually get tired of Thai food and you go, I want my wine and cheese.
You kind of do, and then you want a grilled cheese sandwich, and there's no possible way you're ever
Yeah.
going to find that unless you
Yeah.
make it yourself.
That happened to us when we were in Greece one time. We're like at the end of our 3 weeks or something like that. We're like, God, I'm craving Chinese food. So we could find some Chinese food.
Yeah.
And there
I,
actually happened to be a Chinese food place, which it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was
well,
American style Chinese food, but it is what it
yeah.
is.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in Paris for 2 days this month, I was like, I don't really feel like heavy French food. I'm going to seek out some local kind of places. And I found this amazing Chinese Japanese place that was ridiculously low cost, and then a Vietnamese place
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
was craving Asian food
Hmm.
and I'd
Well,
never
after
had it
being in
there.
Italy for how long were you in Italy for?
3 months.
3 months. Yeah. So you're like craving Asian food, and you couldn't find any Asian food in the places you were. But I guess if you were in a big city, you could find it, right? Because I know Athens and Rome and Paris, they all
Yeah.
have they all have varied types of cuisines.
And so this,
But we tried uh, Asian food in both Athens and in Rome, and it sucked.
yeah.
So it's really difficult to find if you're trying to find a food that's not of the culture that you're in,
Yeah.
then it's difficult. So it's probably best to just stick to the food from the culture that you're in. I mean, you may find something, you may be surprised and find something good, but most of the times I've tried it, it's like, you know what? It's a crapshoot. You may not get the quality that you're expecting, but so it's best to stick with the culture of the food that you're in. If you can handle it, just have another pizza.
Yeah.
Like, don't necessarily
Yeah.
get some
I
ramen
didn't
if you.
expect to have the good luck I had.
Yeah, yeah. So it happens that it does go well, and sometimes you don't. So if somebody any other tips for solo travelers people who wanna get out there?
I would say do it and don't let anybody hold you back and try it out before you completely discount putting on your sneakers and getting your plane ticket and going somewhere new that you've always wanted to go to, because you're going to regret not doing it.
Right.
And so you don't get to use the age, you don't get to use, I don't have
At
anyone
my
to,
age,
yeah.
I have to have somebody with me.
And I've heard that over and over, and you actually don't. And people are, in fact, in other cultures, people like in Italy, oh my gosh, if you're old, you get special treatment. I got special treatment there.
Mm. That could be good or bad, right? Depends on how you feel.
Well, special treatment, it's very kind and generous kind of treatment. I mean, it's not like, have you noticed in an ageist culture like we're in, when you get treated differently, it's usually negative, but I never had a negative ageist experience in Europe, or I can't think of any ageist experience in any other country either. But there's just like a regard for elders in Italy that I haven't seen anywhere else
I
quite
think
like
you're
that.
probably right. I think it's the same everywhere else, right? There's something about America where we have a distinct, like once somebody gets too old, we have kind of a disdain for them. But everywhere else in the world, there's more respect for people who are older, at least from what I've
It's
seen.
not.
I think I'm losing you again. Oh no. Hello, are you back?
I'm back.
So what I was saying, I'm not sure how much of it you caught, is I think that's one of our afflictions is that we don't treat our elderly as well as the rest of the world.
That's the thing. And so I think we've fallen prey to thinking about ourselves that way in this culture when in reality there's so many, like, for example, I would people with canes and walkers.
Right.
And I was saying, no matter what, just you have to get through your fear and get to the other side of it. You probably are going to be afraid, but it's okay. You just keep going forward, and adventures await you in the river of life.
Right. And did we talk about how other cultures treat the elderly better?
Yeah, we were on that topic.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's flesh that out a little bit more. So
Okay.
we feel that, the older you are, you're not treated as well if you're older. It's like something about our culture. But the
Right.
rest of the world isn't like that. The rest of the world treats their elderly better. I'm just gonna say elderly. I hate that word.
Okay.
Is there a better word than elder? Elderly?
Um, well, elder to me sounds like a shaman guru a bit.
Well, that's what we are, right? We're shaman gurus.
So, think of yourself think of Helen Mirren.
Hmm.
She's in her 70s. What a hottie. But I don't think she does all that stuff to her face, and she just looks really good and stays in shape. Like, that's an opportunity for all of us. You got to exercise, you got to eat right, and treat your body like a temple. I mean, you don't want to go out not living your life fully, especially towards the, like the last 30 of your life, like it's even more important to live fully and only do what you want to do. I mean, sure, sometimes you might think, oh, I can't afford that or something like that. However, a lot of times you could if you made it a priority.
Right. Absolutely right. And like you said, I think people are they don't understand that actually they might probably get treated better overseas than they are treated here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no snide comments, rude remarks that I ever hear in Italy. And one time I got back and I went to Los Angeles, not saying Los Angeles is bad, but in like the span of 2 days, I had like 5 women like piss me off in this way that was rude. Like I was like, oh my God, I forgot what that was like.
That's why you have this cultural shock when you come back to the United States and you think, wow, things are not as good.
Things are not as good.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing you need to get, that this isn't the be all and end all culture to be in. It's better in other places culturally for people over 50,
Yeah.
people over 60, and people over 70 and 80. It's better in other cultures, but you just have to experience it yourself. For example, I wanted to get a booster shot COVID in Palermo, Sicily. I guess this was like 3 years ago, and I didn't get one before I left. Well, I went to this huge take-in center, and guess what? I got taken under the wing of some young people because they saw I was older
Hmm.
and couldn't speak, and they made it happen. There were like thousands of people there, and they put me ahead. I mean, that wouldn't have happened if I was young.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you fight against that because you don't want to be labeled as being older, but sometimes you just have to go with the flow.
Hey, I'll take it if it's better treatment.
Exactly.
And they were lovely. I got to hang out with them for like a half an hour. And we're still in touch on Instagram. Like they were the best people ever.
Nice.
And they were so sweet to me. They ended up taking me to the drive-through, but I got to walk through.
Ooh, nice.
I
Well,
mean,
I guess the lesson here is also to lean into it, right?
yeah,
Like don't fight the
yeah.
fact that you're older. Lean into the fact that you're older because
Lean.
elsewhere in the world, that's a good thing.
See, that's the thing. You know, if you really don't fight stuff, like ever since I've come back, I've been in culture shock. And so I've had to go, okay, now just calm down, breathe. And so, like, just yesterday, I got to the ocean and that almost completely cured my angst to
Oh
see
yeah.
the sunset
The
over
ocean
the
does that.
ocean.
The ocean does that for you.
And
Definitely.
I'd been back, 2 weeks and didn't do it. And so it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Okay. I'm glad to be here. You don't quite get it that way in any other place.
Yep.
I mean, of course, being by the water, I like being by the water whenever I travel, but um, it's beautiful here and it really calmed my spirit. And so you just have to remain positive and not have a preconceived idea about how it's going to be. But you should talk to people that are experienced and have done it and can tell you it's not what you think it is.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right. And you'll get that yourself when you do these smaller trips and then work your way up to the larger trips. But that whole concept of being treated better overseas because you're older is just it's a complete surprise to me. But you're absolutely right. I didn't even think about it. And if you lean into it, then it's always good.
Well, that's the surprising thing. You hear I think the biggest demographic in Italy is the older people.
Right.
And so, but their culture is different in that regard. Like families live together. I also found that in Asia. Families living together. They don't even have old folks' homes.
Yeah.
They don't exist.
But the old folks they're part of the family and they're
Yeah.
treated with more respect and they're
Yeah.
deferred to. And, because they have more experience, people go to them, right? Whereas here, it's kind of like, oh, you're old, you're out of touch. I don't want to talk to you.
I
So
think that's changing.
yeah, it's
I
changing.
do.
Yeah.
I really think it's changing, but it's been going on for too long. So when you go to a culture where it's not like that, it's really surprising and it's fun to be a part of that because that's the thing that makes you want to solo travel because you're being treated well.
Exactly. So you don't have to worry about your traveling partner treating you well. The society around you will treat you well.
You know, I've got to say, it's a very intimate thing to travel with other people, and something that people don't think of when they're like, "Oh, I have no one to go with." It's like you're going to have more fun going by yourself than with a mismatched travel companion
Hmm.
who
Exactly
has
right.
different ideals about what to do, and that's completely normal. And then sometimes what happens is people that travel with want to dictate to you what you're supposed to be doing, but you don't want to be doing that.
Yep.
You know, like my Italian friend and she likes to go to museums. She's a history professor, and I like to go to beaches. So we've worked it out.
Did you find any museums on the beach?
No, I did not. And she's just, we both have those different, we're just different, but we love being together and we always meet up once a year in
Nice.
Sicily and it's a blast. We do, however, have the same approach to eating and we go to some nice restaurants and we laugh a lot. I mean,
See, that's the thing. If you're not traveling with somebody, then you can meet up and separate just like
yeah,
that. But when you're traveling with somebody, you always have to think how is this going to work? How are we going to pull this together? Do I always have to compromise? Do I always have to do what they want? They have to do what I want. It's just so much more freeing to just do it on your own. Because
it's liberating.
yeah,
And I think
absolutely.
until you really experience it, you don't know how liberating it can be to just be like, oh, I feel like sleeping in today, or I feel like getting up at 6 and going over to the Trevi Fountain, or going to the water, or going for a run. Like you get to decide every single aspect of your trip,
Yeah,
which is really fun.
yeah, that's incredibly liberating. I can see that. That would be amazing. So get out there.
Yeah, so get out there and do it. And if you want some help, I'm speaking in June and July, and it's free for you on solo travel. Just get in touch with me so I can give you dates at the libraries in San Mateo County if you're in the Bay Area. Because, it helps to see, like, I'll show pictures of me in different countries and then answer your questions and help you get started. It's an hour and a half thing. And I think start to gather information from me, other people, other channels. And then you just get to a point where you feel like, hey, I think I might want to try that.
Yeah. If you see enough people doing it and you're out there and they're having a great time, they're having a blast,
Yeah,
then you're like, that could be me. That
yeah,
could be me. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
It-
I'll put all the links and everything in the show notes so people can go direct.
okay.
And this is great. So good seeing you again. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but
Oh,
look,
well,
we got to see a little bit of California sunshine out back. So
that's
it's all
right.
good.
That's right. Half Moon Bay, California. This was fun, Chris.
Nice. All right. Well, talk to you next week. I'll be in Greece, so it should be fun.
Oh, great. Okay, perfect.
Same time. All
Okay.
right. Talk to you
All
later.
right.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye bye.